I drew every day for a year. What's the progress?
And I'm Skylar, a professional artist who also attempts wacky art challenges on this channel. Before 2 weeks ago, I had no idea that Pewdiepie was even an artist, let alone that he had only begun a year ago. And it's very rare that we get to see the journey of a beginner artist, so I'm really excited to kind of dive into it. Oh my gosh, unironically, his day 30 sketches literally look like my old sketches from middle school. It's so funny how a lot of us started drawing like anime girls, and then we just never stopped doing it.
I realize, and maybe other people have said this too, but drawing is more about training your brain to see rather than actually technical with your hand. I think that's a misconception I had.
Yeah, a lot of what I hear from people who are not artists themselves is they just assume that like if you look at something, you'll just instantly be able to draw it because you're just naturally gifted at art. And what they don't see is the amount of hours and hours and hours someone puts into something as simple as drawing a hand. It might look simple to draw, but in actuality, it's very hard to draw and be able to convey in a visual form. You literally have to learn how to take what you're seeing in reality and put it into a 2D space and make it look aesthetically pleasing at the same time. It's a lot of work and a lot of training your brain. I think if you've never drawn, you don't understand how that works. So it's really awesome that he's already learned that, because it definitely took me way longer.
And I really think
oh my God, that is amazing for 84 days. 13-year-old me would be foaming at the mouth if I could draw like this that soon.
just bad. Just bad. I was trying to be technical and like give myself notes.
Oh my gosh, I also do this in my sketchbooks. I'll literally like circle something and just go, bad, don't do this again. I totally understand that. And he is right when, as an artist, if you just draw the same thing over and over and over again, you never learn how to do anything outside of that. You get one secret unlocked in your brain and then you never unlock any of the other art secrets. You just keep doing the same thing. So you never learn how to transfer those skills into other areas of art, and then you just end up drawing the same thing again. And when you branch outside of your comfort zone, it doesn't look as good, and then you feel, kind of let down and not good enough. So then you don't want to try it again, because human brains want to protect ourselves from feeling hurt or pain. So you don't get that dopamine reward from, drawing something really beautiful and being like, wow, isn't it great? And when you draw something bad, it's like, oh God, I hate this. Oh no, I'm terrible. And then you feel bad about it, and then you don't want to do it again, and then you're not as motivated to go outside of your comfort zone. But the most growth that you will see as an artist is stepping outside of your comfort zone and being okay with drawing ugly things. The artists that I see that improve the most in the short amount of time are the people being okay with drawing really just like awful, ugly things, because you have to draw ugly to get good. And a lot of people get discouraged because they're not drawing the way that they want to. I have so many sketchbooks from when I was young and where I just like would scribble out things that I thought were ugly and just being like, I'm never gonna draw again. But I kept coming back because I loved it. And I think sometimes too, if you don't love doing art, you're not as compelled to come back and finish what you've been doing because you don't have that drive. It's kind of like YouTube videos. You have to keep making them. And in a lot of cases, you do not get the reward for making those videos right away. But the people who are really passionate about making those videos will put in the time and effort to get better without the reward because they love doing it so much.
But I also think, the improvement I had, anyone can achieve. Like, I wanted my video to be inspiring for other people to do the same thing. Like, that's my goal. Like, people say anyone can draw, and I truly, truly believe that.
I think also because that he is older and probably more mature than a lot of us when we started. I mean, I think I started drawing when I was like maybe 13. So it's been like over 10 years. Being a 13-year-old, you don't have the ability sometimes. Not every single 13. There's some very mature 13-year-olds. I just wasn't one of them. But sometimes you are able to see I think one of his skills is he is able to see what he is doing wrong, and he is able to admit it and then try to correct it. As like a 13-year-old, like you can see that you're not drawing well, but sometimes you can't pick out what it is you are not drawing well. Everything just kind of looks like a blob. And I'm trying to go back as far as I can to go back into the mentality of being a beginner artist and what that's like, because now, and having like over 10 years of experience with drawing, it's almost a lot of these things are automatic for me where I don't have to think about it as much as I used to. So I'm trying to go back to how I thought back then. And to me, it looks like he is able to pick out what is wrong with what he's doing. And he has this drive to get better at it, to literally just get better at everything having to do with art. And that is so inspiring. And it really takes me back to being a beginner and just wanting to be good, but not really knowing how. And also back when I very first started, the internet was just kind of becoming a thing and there wasn't as many tutorials and resources about. So a lot of people nowadays have even more resources to help them try and figure out what they're doing wrong in their art and how to fix it. So that's another resource that people have nowadays that people, 10, 15 years ago probably didn't have as much access to, which is why I really love art and the art community. People are really good about sharing resources that have helped them become better at art. And I really think having a community, an art community is so important nowadays too. So we all can support each other in our art journeys, because art journeys are hard. They're you'll have a ton of ups and downs, but if you really love what you're doing, you'll keep going at it and we're all rooting for you.
And I told myself I was gonna force myself to use this pen, even though it looks like shit. I was gonna really I'm gonna use this pen. I need to learn how to draw without the whole circle thing again.
So one thing I do want to mention here, so he's talking about using guidelines in figuring out how you want to structure the face that you're drawing. And to be honest, I still use guidelines. As an artist who's been drawing for a really long time, I don't look at guidelines and think that they're bad. I do think that they're a good thing. I think anything that will help you be able to envision or helps you take what you're envisioning in your head and be able to put them onto paper will be helpful. And I don't think that they're a bad thing. I think that there's a thing going on in the art. I've seen this go around the art communities, if you use references, that's not good. If you use guidelines, that's not good. And honestly, my personal take is using things like guidelines and references really don't hurt you in the long run, because they help you remind yourself to check to see if what you're drawing makes sense in reality or follows the guidelines. Because sometimes if you don't do the guidelines, it can get super wonky. The goal is to think about what you're drawing in a 3D. I'm trying to figure out how to translate this. The goal is to think about what you're drawing in a 3D way, if that makes any sense. And I think the guidelines help a lot with that. But if you do feel like they are holding you back, definitely don't do it. But what I see from people is it's almost kind of an ego thing, ooh, I can draw without the guidelines, because people kind of expect you to just do it. But I want to validate and remind people that it doesn't matter if you need guidelines or not. You are a good artist. Whether you use them or not, you are an artist and you are a good artist. Just do what is comfortable for you and what's best for you. Also, I will say drawing with just pen, this is another good thing that he's doing. When I first started getting serious about art, I was around 19 or 20, and I really I was I'm going to get better at drawing people. So what I did was I just took a pen and I went on Line of Action, the site where it generates random poses, and I would literally just take a pen and start drawing it. And I did see a lot of improvement. I think what this what only drawing with pen does is helps with line confidence, because when you draw with a pen, once you put it down on paper, you cannot erase it. So it helps a lot with line confidence and being able to really quickly and knowledgeably put down a stroke on the paper and being this is it, if that makes any sense. But again, what I'm really noticing with him is he's constantly pushing himself to be outside of his comfort zone and pushing himself to be better. And I think that's part of the reason why he's improving so rapidly. And it's just really awesome to see someone be so willing to not be the best. Because sometimes what I see in social media is beginner artists be a little hesitant about going outside their comfort zone or posting their art when it's bad, because it's really embarrassing when you're bad. Even I get embarrassed when I have a terrible sketchbook page. I'm ooh, that's not going on the social media feed. There's almost kind of a tiny little person in your brain that's thinking about what other people are going to think about your art even before you start drawing. And it's kind of sad, because that's not why I started drawing. I started drawing because I really wanted to draw like my characters and see them come to life. And I think that's why a lot of people started drawing. So it's definitely kind of like a balance act. So you sometimes have to kind of remind yourself when you're drawing, like, it's okay to be bad. You're learning, like, it's totally okay. And like, not even professional artists draw things correctly too. Like, we are all on this art journey together. We don't have to pull each other down. Let's lift each other up and be kind to beginners and be helpful to one another.
I picked up books about perspective because I want to learn and I want to understand this. And I think finally that clicked in me. It went from me just wanting to sketch whatever to, no, I actually want to understand these things so I can draw them better.
And that is how you become a good artist. It's not about drawing what you think is happening. It's being able to understand what is happening in reality and transferring it onto paper. And the way to do that is to understand form and light and composition and perspective, and diving into that is such a good idea. And I know it's tedious. It is so tedious and it's so overwhelming, but in the long term, understanding how these things work will improve your art greatly. And even though I was super bored in my art foundation classes in high school, it served me so well. I then learned, you know, what value was, like proper composition. Like, it was so valuable to me, even though at the time I was like, I don't want to do this. I still use those concepts as an artist now. So definitely, like, I know it's like, no, but like, definitely get learning some foundations, you guys. It's gonna be okay. And you'll be a better artist for it.
I drew a full body one. And I'm like comparing it to my 80-day one. And I'm like, the 80
Comparison is the thief of joy. This is kind of also what I was talking about before when you're an artist also posting online. Like he said, progress is not linear, and there's almost like this really big pressure to just keep getting better and better. But a lot of the times when you do have a beautiful, amazing piece, it takes a little bit for things to catch up to it and being able to replicate it consistently. When you're thinking about making content and presenting it to an audience, you think about how other people are going to react to it and point out how you're bad, and it almost not that it ruins it, but it definitely puts a damper and it puts this pressure on you to be perfect. And I don't really think it's healthy to do that, or not like you're doing it on purpose, but I sometimes think it's not really healthy to put all of that pressure. And like, you can even see it now. Like, I've talked to a lot of artists, and like, there's just this pressure to be good all of the time. And if you're not, you feel like even more down on yourself because you're not even thinking about it internally, but you're thinking about it externally, like people's perceptions of you, and like, you know, like them being disappointed in you, and like, oh, I thought you were supposed to be a good artist and now you're drawing like trash, or like, I don't like your art anymore. Like, there's a lot of pressure to perform for people when you're an artist, and it's even more critical now that social media is a thing. And when you're a beginner artist, even it feels like sometimes there's no room to be bad at something on social media because people will always like clown on you or like make fun of you. So I see a lot of beginner artists be scared of posting their art online because they're worried about the reaction. I don't know what the answer is except to be more kind to people. Kindness is magic. So if you see a beginner artist, leave a lovely comment under their picture and encourage them to keep going, because we were all bad at one point. Leave a comment down below telling us what you're proud of in your art and what you would like to continue working on. And hopefully this community will be encouraging to one another.
So yeah, if you want to improve, you have to kind of go through the pain of sucking again, I guess.
Oh, trust me. 10 years later, I still draw awful things. I still go through stages where I'm like, I'm a terrible, awful artist and I'll never be good. So it's a never-ending cycle. What I'm taking away from this video is, as long as you're open to trying new things and being okay with being bad and being consistent with your art, you will get better. There was a time where I thought that I hit my limit, never going to get better, but the more I drew, the better I got, no matter what I thought. I've been seeing people say like, he's only good because he's a millionaire or he has all of this time to sit down and draw. But honestly, it doesn't seem like he's been drawing all that much every day. I really, honestly, like my take on it is because of how open he is to trying new things, he's able to get better because he's able to draw bad things and then look at the bad thing that he drew and he's able to detect what the issue is and then fix it. And that is a skill in itself. And I think because of social media, we see all of these, like there's always going to be someone better than you. And it's literally displayed in front of you every single day. And it can be very discouraging. But what's not productive for yourselves is to point the finger at someone else and blame them, like almost like kind of take away their hard work because you feel insecure about yourself. At the end of the day, you are responsible for your own art journey. And what you put into it is what you get. And there's always going to be someone who's better than you, faster than you, smarter than you. But we can choose to either be kind to one another and uplift each other, or we can poop on each other. And honestly, I want to live in a world where we are kind to each other. Like I said before, comparison is the thief of joy. If you spend your time comparing yourself to other people, you will be very unhappy with yourself. So a good thing to do if you're feeling negative about your art is look at your art and see what you can improve upon and set out a goal and try to achieve it. I promise you, you will feel so much better and more proud of yourself achieving that goal that you set for yourself than if you just kind of sat there and complained and didn't do anything about it. I wish everyone luck on their art journey, and remember to be kind to people, and remember that you are always an artist, and no matter what, keep going, keep drawing. You will get better, I promise.